Wait for that to click over to mine and then you can start. Oh, yes.
There you go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the last meeting of our term. I will start with a Karakia from Bess.
Okay.
It's our event.
Tū tawa mai ki runga, tū tawa mai ki raro. Tū tawa mai ki roto, tū tawa mai ki waho. Kia tau ai te mauri tū, te mauri ora ki runga I te katoa. Come forth from above and below, within the environment. Vitality and well-being brought together in harmony. Tihei mauri ora.
You're the best.
Thanks for that. Yes. Okay. Everyone's here, so we have no apologies. So we will move on to public forum. Just a reminder, you've all got 5 minutes to speak. We can only ask clarifying questions. So we'll start with Philip Holland.
Wasn't here.
Welcome.
Can I jump over here?
Yeah, you jump in the seats. Thanks.
Okay, so my name's Phil. I'm the owner of the property at Cemetery Road. And I'm just here to respond to what you heard from some of the members of the Kuatunu Ratepayers Association regarding the subdivision of 4 Cemetery Road. So first of all, just the word subdivision can tend to be uncertainty or fear some members of the community. Some people often struggle to get their heads around any change, and this is quite normal. However, once there are a couple of houses on site, some planting, the fear goes away, new people come into the area and everybody moves on. New friends and connections are made and the community grows stronger. When you heard from some of the members of the KRA, there were some inaccuracies presented to the community board, and so I just wanted to clear some of these up. Firstly, the proposal is to add 7 additional buildable lots rather than 9 as suggested. The development was described as high density by one of the KARA members, but the lots are actually around half an acre each. These are big lots, and I think it's important that when people in control of organisations like the KRA present findings to the community, that they're accurate, so as not to unnecessarily stress members of the community, which is what's happening. Earthworks on site will be strictly controlled by local authorities during construction and operating under the flood engineer's reporting. The consent application and the supporting documentation shows that there is no additional risks to neighbours or neighbouring properties. I think that's very important because I think some of the locals are concerned that the development is going to have an effect on their properties. And so I think it's important that we need to pay attention to what these experts have found, and that is that there's no negative effects on any of the neighbouring properties. It's also important to remember that the earthworks proposed are only an average depth of around 300 millimetres. It's not a big amount of earthworks, and the earthworks are only cover around half of the site area. The subdivision is within one of the floodplains in the area, and as such, the application shows how the development will be safely and effectively carried out. There's no plan to change the current zoning as the development is within residential village zone. And the purpose of this zone is to provide housing to the area, and as such, it should be used to ease some of the pressure that we're currently experiencing with the recent housing shortages. And then finally, just I just want to say that if I thought that you know this project was going to affect anybody or their properties, we certainly I wouldn't be doing that. So I just really want to put that out there as well.
Great, awesome, thank you. Good questions, Nelly?
So Philip, have you received, there was a peer review of the flood modelling, have you received that report and is it favourable?
Yeah, well, it's come back with, it's reasonably favourable, but they do have some further questions that they want answered.
Yeah,
So-
I understood that process wasn't completed.
Yeah, that's right. So that it was they did the peer review, read through that, and then they want clarification on, I can't remember what the issues are, but they've been.
But you
sent
haven't
off
got a
to-
rubber stamp?
No,
No.
no.
No, I just want to make that clear to everyone that it's not, you haven't got the full
Yeah.
approval of both authorities.
Yeah, that's right. It's still ongoing.
Still ongoing, yeah.
Through the chair, could you perhaps explain your background, Philip? I believe you're in the building industry.
Yeah, so I'm an architectural designer of the last 20 years. During that time, I sort of specialised in developing and development for other customers, as well as 6 or 8 of my own projects as well.
Mika?
So you talk about 300 millimetres of earthwork, so you're raising that ground level. I just want to be clear, when you say earthworks, the intention is to raise the land.
Yeah, well, it's more about shaping of the land, so that because it is in a floodplain, we don't want any kind of inundations. We want to be able to keep the any water flowing. Yes, some of the land is going to be lifted up. Yeah, so about half of the site, I think it is that will be, lifted up somewhat. Yeah.
About half. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Cheers, thanks.
We'll move on to Peter Wood.
Thank you. I try not to look quite that frail. First of all, okay to the group. It's nice to see one that starts on time with 100% attendance. That's very great. I'm here because, well, first of all, my name is Peter Wood. I live at Villa 5 at Continuing Care, and I was born in 1937. And I get around Whitianga on a ride-on, one of those little electric motorised 4-wheel scooters, if you like. And in doing that, I've come across a real problem, and I'm bringing it to you. Perhaps you might like to put it on your action schedule, I'm not sure, but ride-ons have very small wheels, and they're usually pumped up as hard as the tyres will go because that gets extra mileage from their batteries. Unfortunately, it means that if you go off the footpath to cross the road, the first problem is that there's a big distance between the curb and the tar seal, which is deep, which is the gutter, of course, again. But in having put so many layers of tar seal on, as they do here, I think it's about every 8 years, the depth of it has become greater. I have actually been stranded twice. Last time, little old grey-haired lady had to come and help me rock it out of where I was stuck. That made me feel even more frail. I would like to point out that your footpaths in Whitianga are a patchwork. They've obviously been repaired several times, and the repairs are beautifully smoothed over, actually almost slippery. But where they join each end of the footpath, there is a bump or a hollow. And when you're traveling along on my ride on, I go boom, 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 boom. And I thought, that's a bit rough, but you can accept it. It's part of life. But when you get to the corners here, there is a real problem, because many of the corners ramps to cross the road, or in effect, you have to cross the road to get to the footpath on the other side. The ramps are made using the car mountable curb, and the car mountable curb is quite high. And you've got a really big bump to get down, across, and then you've got to get back up. And as I understand it, there was a government act of some sort that said a ramp for disabled people had to be a certain size, and the size is a distance. So it means the ramp has to sit back a bit from the road, which means into the footpath. And then it's easier to make a footpath just by pouring it in and smoothing it over, and there it is, done nicely. Except you get the bump at each end, and you don't get down a ramp easily. So I feel that it probably needs a contractor to go around the town, checking the corners and making sure the ramps are smoother than they are, not using car mountable curbing. And that concludes my talk.
Okay, thank you so much. Questions from the board, John?
Peter, any feedback from others that, other than yourself? Is it something that you've spoken to others about?
I don't generally take my complaints to public, except that Bess has quoted me this morning already, and that's not nice. But the amount of ride-ons in this township is going to grow, even maybe exponentially, the way the baby boomers are coming into play. And I'm pretty sure that continuing care is probably going to try and expand. But people have them in their homes as well. I don't know if you've noticed that there are a lot more ride-ons than there used to be. I know several people who have had to have ride-ons because they're paralysed, but that's just personal.
This to the chair. So Peter, do you think the whole system needs to be overhauled, upgraded to suit, because you see there's, and we know there's more people, the older generation, mobility scooters, those who are not so mobile, will come into the same situation as you're having. So do you think that there should be an overhaul on all the footpaths and stuff in the town, especially in the main town, in the town area?
Unfortunately, much of the repairs to the footpaths have been made, and as far as I can see, they weren't monitored very well because of some of the footpaths have a step in them almost, and they do lend themselves to tripping over for people who are walking. And that to me seemed a health and safety thing. But I would really like to see the corners of the streets with that ramp, so you can cross the street without sort of diving into the gutter and then fighting your way back out. That sounds terrible, worse than it really is. But
Thank
I
you.
do think that
Noted.
you need to look at that. And if you're going to repair footpaths, and some of them are getting that way because they're very old now, they should be, the work should be monitored to make sure that it meets up at each end. I did conclude a little moment ago.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Peter.
much.
Thanks, Peter.
Next we have Steve Griffith.
Hello,
Hi, Steve.
everybody.
Kia ora.
Hope you're all well.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm Steve Griffiths from Taiwāwe Beach. My family have resided there since 1986. We've had land there since 1973. That's my connection with the place. And it's my turinga waiwai.
Kia ora.
It's my place of peace. I applied this year in March to operate a mobile sauna. It's something that I've had experience in. I was living in Ireland for 25 years, but I'm back home. My parents are elderly and want to spend some time with them. But it's a little project that I'm passionate about. I know that there are others operating on the peninsula like the sort of project, and I know there's the guy here in town with the sauna aura. So if you're familiar with those, it's similar to that operation as well. I got declined by council from operating in Whangapawa. It was, to be honest, it was frustrating. Like I couldn't get through to anybody in Thames. In the end, I got put onto a consultant, Alex, who I'm sure some of you might be familiar with. And at the end of the day, like the process was delayed, and then I got an email from Alex saying it was denied to access to the William Mangakahia Reserve at the north end of the beach, which at the moment seems to be the only place where startup or commercial licenses can be operated from in Whangapawa. And I'm here today to ask if there is any other places in Whangapawa that might be feasible to operate in. My preference would be across the road from the shop where the old Bollocks used to be. It's close to amenities, close to rubbish bins, toilets, outdoor showers, and it's got beach access, safe beach access with the steps there as well. I don't know how that process works when I know at the moment there's two people operating out of Whangapawa down at the William Mangakahia end, and one is a food stall and the other one is Cathedral Cove Kayaks. I'm a guy called Mike who I've been in touch with, and as far as I know, Mike only operates in the peak season. I was originally denied permission to operate there because of access, because there's a lot of cars there over the peak period with people coming to access New Chums Beach there. But I was informed after that it was actually the Whangapawa was full, and there was no place to operate out of because like those two positions had been filled. Talking to Mike, he said that he only operates in the peak season. I sort of think that being a sauna business, you'd probably operate sort of from off peak, more March through to November. But like in saying that, it could be peak as well. But I was wondering if you'd consider I could take that space that Mike doesn't utilise during the off peak and maybe operate then. But ultimately, like the site opposite the shop, which is the Mercury Mangakahia Reserve, there's a space there. I'm not sure if it's actually classed as part of the reserve or if it's just space that's not utilised the Molochs have gone.
I think it's road reserve.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's road reserve.
Well, that's the other thing. I was told that all the other reserves and Whangapā are road reserves. But like to me, like being from there and being brought up there, I think that there are these spaces that could really be utilised, and that's my proposal today.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Rika?
Yeah, I did. Oh, I did.
Thanks. So you said you've had a conversation with one of the existing concession holders.
With Mike, yeah.
Yeah, who would only really be,
Brogan.
is holding, onto that space to use in a peak time.
Yeah.
And you, I'm just trying to make sure that I've got everything clear. You're just really looking for a concession or a space to operate in the downtime when, say, for example, the walking track to New Chums won't be at peak capacity in terms of the car park.
Yeah, like this time of year, like there's not many people going over there. Like I know in the peak season, like cars are just up all up the side of the road, and I can understand how residents would get agitated with that. But I'm proposing that if that is the only space that I can use in Whangapā, that I would use it when it's off peak and there's not all like that access is available.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say, a tautoko your kaupapa. You've been brought up there, you know the ins and outs, you know how close it is, you know where those spaces need to be utilised. So once again, I want to say, a tautoko your kaupapa and hang in there. Kia ora.
With the chair. So do you carry your own electricity? Do you have a solar panel or is it?
No, it's a wood burning stove.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's not.
It's like a trailer.
Yeah.
It's on a trailer, it's portable, it can be taken away at any time, and it's fueled by a wood burning stove. Yeah.
Through the chair, look, I just ask, in your approach to council, have they come back to you and said there's no room anywhere in Whangapā for you?
Basically, yeah. The communication I found with Thames was frustrating. I couldn't get through to anybody in council for a long period of time, and I eventually got put on with it. Like it was outsourced to Alex Corwell, who's a consultant, and he was dealing with it all. And basically, it's like firstly they told me that I got denied due to access, which is the peak season thing, and then I eventually got hold of Susan Barrable in TCDC, and she said that it wasn't the reason. The reason you got denied was because Whangapā was full. Like there's no more place to operate, and that's when she suggested that I get hold of you guys, come and meet with you, and put a proposal forward that maybe there might be other places in Whangapā that like being a road reserve, it seems like most of them could be changed to like utilise startup or commercial operators license.
John?
Thanks very much for coming in. Appreciate that. It's been a bit frustrating, this experience. Just the only question I've got is, what time frame has this been over? When did you start that process?
Actually, I've got all the information of the whole process. If I could hand it on to someone, if that's okay. But it started in March the 17th, I think, roughly. I had to have March the 17th was when the applications opened. Applications closed on the 24th of April, and I was awaited tender, and then early June I was to be notified about the outcome. I got an email saying that it would be extended due to staff turnover through to August, to the middle of August, and then I got notified in August that it was unsuccessful.
So you put your sauna on this trailer, you built it, but it hasn't actually been used.
Well, like I've got all my ducks in a row, if you like. everything ready, it's all in here. I wasn't going to actually get myself, well, I'm in the process of getting it now, but I was holding off until I could get somewhere to use it. Ultimately in Whangapoa, at the Meri Te Toi Mangakahia. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dave, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, if you could please, yeah.
Do you need it back? Do you want us to copy it or?
Oh, if you don't mind, yeah, but there's no pen.
If Jessie will do that for you and you can probably grab it before you go.
Okay. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
your time.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Elections.
Thanks very much.
Are there any further speakers who want to talk? Can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
I'll second.
We've got Rupert and Deli. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carried. Are there any items not on the agenda?
Nothing has been raised through me, Chair.
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder?
No items raised.
Okay. Any conflicts of interest? Anyone wishes to declare? Can I have a mover and seconder for?
I'll get it to you.
She'll be back down. Driving on.
Mover and seconder to confirm the
I'll get it to work.
21st of July minutes.
Thank you.
I have a mover and a seconder. Minutes.
Yeah, I need to move.
Yeah, we've got John and a seconder, Karen. Is there any amendments for correction? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, onto the proposed road name of right of way. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Kelly and Peter. Are there any clarification questions for staff? We have Jane Andrews online.
Morena board members.
Morena.
Morning.
Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
It is. Do I just read the whole thing out or? Oh, so
I can put it on screen if you prefer.
we can just put it on screen so everyone, so shall we just vote? So all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, okay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the CAPEX work program, can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
We've got Rika and Beth. Okay, we've got Luke Archibald. Any questions? Rika?
Morning, Luke.
Good morning.
I just wonder if you could give me a little, I drove purposefully past the new toilet on Buffalo Beach to see if the fencing was still up. Have you got a time frame for when that will come down? Because it's looking pretty nice underneath there and very complete.
I don't have it right now, the timeline. I've just come back from leave this morning, so I'll catch up with the PM and I'll fire through an update after I get off this call.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Question.
Ms. Daly?
Hi, Luke. I'm just wondering where we're at with the consent for the Matarangi waste plant, which seems to be dragging on and on and on. How's progress on that?
So it's been pushed out again, and so the hearing that is.
Yeah.
So we're now looking to somewhere in mid-December. And it is at the discretion of the consent provider rather than us in regards to timing for it. We continue to provide information that they are asking for as requested, and now aiming towards a December hearing.
Good grief. Yeah, thanks for that, mate.
And just my second part of my question was around Omaro Reserve. Is that new convenience scheduled to be on time in terms of its kickoff? Like this week?
Just noted that Brett put his hand up about the previous question probably. Did you want to hear from him in regards to? Yep.
Yeah, Brett, please.
Through the chair, I'm heavily involved in the consent. The consent hearing is planned for the 17th, 18th, 19th of December in Thames. We are currently drafting the environmental memo, which lists the modelling that has been done and the impact on the environment, and also draft conditions. That is planned to be reviewed with WRC this coming week, and then we'll go, I believe, in mid-September, end of September, to the hearing commissioners and to other submitters. So we are still on track to be ready for the hearing at the end of December.
Cheers, Brett. Thanks.
What a process.
Yeah.
So in response to the Omaro Reserve public convenience, the project is on track, expected to be open sort of mid to late September. But the whole of the TIF projects are due to be complete by end of September.
Okay, great. Thank you.
John?
Just a question, Luke, in regard to the replacement of the timber tank roof in Whitianga. Can you just give us a little bit of background as to what the delays have been on that, and when you are hopeful that that will be done? Will it be all in place and ready for the peaks of summer?
Brett can answer that by the looks of his hand being up.
Through the chair, the delay of repairing the timber roof was due to the complexity of the scaffold structure that was required inside. It took a lot more effort and time to build that structure. We are planning that will be complete, I believe, in September, and will be slowly commissioned and will be ready for Christmas.
This Christmas.
Can I just get clarification also? Will that be holding the water that has been through the cleansing treatment process, so it's ready for circulation, or is it holding raw water?
Through the chair, that will be a treated water. So we will have 6,000 cubic metres of treated water capacity at the water treatment plant. So if we have issues with storms, etc., we will have over 2 days total storage of treated water capacity within Whitianga before we need to restart the water treatment plant.
Thanks, Brett.
If I just come back to the Buffalo Beach public toilets, I'm aware that they're called public toilets, but the particular public toilets at Buffalo Beach are located by a footpath, by a very busy road, and by a residential occupation just on the other side of the road. And it's very public for people coming in and out of the toilets. And would there be room for a screen perhaps across the front of the toilets to afford some privacy for those who are coming in and out of the toilets?
So I guess the project deliverable is that probably doesn't include that. What I can do is I can take that request away and have a chat to the project manager around whether we have any budget to look at a scope change and explore that further.
Thank you, Luke.
Through the chair, Luke, I asked that question at the time when the design was shown to us.
Yep.
And I was told that there'll be some kind of plantings, because I expressed the same concerns as Peter, the lack of privacy.
Yeah, and that the landscaping has yet to be done, so it probably looks pretty bare at the moment. The landscaping's the last thing that you do once the building's all complete.
Yeah, I just wondered if they could put in really big foliage at the time rather than wait 2 years for it to grow. That's my
Absolutely.
thought.
I'll have a chat with the PM around what's scheduled plant-wise to be put in.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Luke? Yeah, okay.
Hi, Luke, me again. Just wanted to see if you could just talk to us about the RTS. There's a couple of ambers there.
Yes. So the one pager you're referring to at the end?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay. So the biggest challenge we had was the quality of the material and at the location. Obviously, it's the history of the site. It was a pond, and some of the soil is actually more contaminated than first understood. That's a big issue for the locations where we're putting buildings, because you need a really high standard to handle the loading of the structures at those locations. It's fair to say a lot of effort's been put in over the last number of weeks just around negotiating with our contractor and understanding the scale of that challenge that they discovered. The good news is we were initially looking at potentially $500,000 of fill coming in. It's now looking less than 100,000 based on the negotiations that we've been doing with them.
Fantastic.
So that's proceeding. That's happened since this report was listed. So I would say that we're probably back in the green in regards to that issue being resolved. We are challenged with time. So we've had some delays with the project because of these need to do the investigation and understand this. So the risk there, it's not an issue just yet, is that we may not hit that June 2026 deadline. Might be a month or two after that, but that's a risk at the moment. We're working with the contractor with their work program to see if we can create any gains elsewhere. But we are still early days as well. So we're just going to carry that risk until we get clarity around some of the wins and time we can get later on down the delivery.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And you answered my second question. That was around timing. So we can bank on some great summer weather and claw back some timing. That'd be great.
That's the hope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for them? No. Okay, thank you so much, Luke and Brett. All those in favour of receiving the Community Board CAPEX report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carried. We've got the action schedule. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
Delhi. Card. Are there any? We've got Heather. So any questions?
Just through the chair, just before we start, as we agreed, are there any questions, anything from today's meeting so far that you would like included in the next action schedule?
Yeah, I certainly think that Steve's comments around concessions somehow capturing that. This is the second concessionaire that's ended up back at the community board table since this process left community board and went to staff. So I'm quite keen, and I can escalate this at the council table, to have a conversation around whether our concessionaires are getting the right level of support, or whether, you know, people that are supporting them through this process actually have a local understanding of our local reserves, and are we being results or solution driven instead of being a brick wall. So I certainly want his concerns captured.
Yes.
And you know, how can we help him? How can we go back? You know, do you just liaise with your counterpart within the organisation?
Yes, that's my plan, was to go back to them and pass that on and provide the meeting video so that they can understand what's been said.
Yeah, perfect.
So, yeah.
And just certainly have it captured here, because in a couple of weeks' time, none of us might be here, so that at least the new board can pick it up.
Yep.
And just in support of that, and I would like to see some means of being able to
Well, but there used to be a process handled locally, and I know this is the board that has the majority of the concessions, and it never made sense to take it out of the local decision-making process.
And I think your points are really valid that, this is the place that really understands it. So,
yes. Yeah.
So I'd just like to see some connection continued so it does come back so we can have a think about what might need to be thought through in regard to changes.
Excuse me, sorry, through the chair. So they pay $350 per annum each concession holder, is that correct?
No, not
The way to
necessarily. It's a
weighted process.
Depends on what they've put forward. Without looking at it all out, there's like a base amount, and then the applicants put in what they are prepared to pay, and that's taken into consideration as well. So I can't give you that figure without going and investigating that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's based on a per annum period?
Per annum, yeah.
Even though they're not
The
there.
fee is a per annum fee, but their approval to operate is longer than that. It can be 3-5 years under the new process. It used to be like 3, and I think it's up to 5 now, just off the top of my head. But I would have to listen to that. Yeah.
And I think the other thing is understanding just Peter's comments around the footpaths. Do we audit our contractors? Are we checking the workers? I'm sure there's a process. I don't know what it is.
I can oversee it.
Yeah, through the chair, probably similar to the last response. What we'll do is we'll do a little bit of work, give you an email that shows you what the understanding of our monitoring is, and then we can decide where to go through from there.
I would gather that there's a standard for the way it should be, and I guess the question is, are we meeting that standard?
And without predetermining, it might be that the standard that Peter described is also best for stormwater control, and so there's a balance to meet, and that they are all the correct grade or whatever. But look, let's ask the question and come back with something.
Yeah, we'll certainly be doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Through the chair, is it appropriate now to ask about the historical information thingies on the Hogan? You know how they were getting all the tops were getting etched off?
I can give you a bit of an update on that.
Yes, please.
Just that our park staff have been working on that. I believe that I'm not 100% sure. I believe they're passing it over to Luke's team to actually do the project. But Sue is investigating sorry, let me just get this right. She's investigating getting the redone and that etched deeper with a different system. Part of the problem is that they were put in with the Hogan path and that's done that. So at the moment she's been looking into a better product, like getting the product as it's been improved, so it's etched deeper, and then what the cost would be for making that concrete path, changing that from Hogan to concrete or portions thereof. So that she's working on that at the moment.
Yeah, she's simply our amendment.
Yeah,
had been discussed.
I can find out a little bit more about where that's at. But yeah. Just before you have any more questions as well, we've got Greg kindly standing by, and Brett is still online. They had a couple of items on the monitoring schedule that they just wanted to give a bit of an update on, which was the Cox Beach Lakes and the fitting a future water source of Shamal as well. It was one of our Street Waters team. So are you happy to hear from them first? And then if you've got any other questions after that. So Should we start with Brett and Shamal because they're online?
Through the chair, I'll get Shamal to just give you a verbal update on the Whitianga water strategy. We will be following this up with a more formal report, potentially in December or early next year, once we've had the next 6 months of metering results in. Shamal, I'll hand that over to you.
To the chair, we have seen some interesting results after we started the volumetric billing as part of Whitianga water strategy. Volumetric billing was introduced in 1st of July 2024, and the results have been very positive. In the 2023-24 year, Whitianga used around 1.17 million cubic meters of treated water. However, during the last financial year, 24-25 period, that figure dropped to just over 1 million cubic meters. That's a reduction of about 147,000 cubic meters, so approximately 13% reduction. This sits well within the 10 to 20% reduction target that was presented to Council when stage 1 of the strategy was approved. Regarding the peak demand trends, in 23-24 period, the average daily demand was around 4,300 cubic meters per day. In 24-25 period, it dropped to 3,800 cubic meters per day. Again, that's an 11% reduction in peak demand. So it shows a strong indication of positive behavioral change. Also, about 400 to 500 properties still require unbundling work before meters can be installed, and that program is continuing. Our focus for this financial year will remain on mainly network water losses, which are steady at about 20%. However, even this is within benchmark. However, further reduction are possible through leak detection and optimization. Education programs, including the summer water conservation booklet, we are considering more advertising investment and will continue encouraging residents to repair private leaks, highlighted through meter data. Also regarding seasonal restrictions, which will remain in place during peak periods. However, the need for restrictions has been less frequent over past year, except during extreme weather events. Regarding the medium to long-term measures, the consultant is finalizing the Whitianga water strategy to report, which will guide our next steps. The likely recommendations will include establishing demand management areas to isolate and monitor high loss zones, expanding our education programs with more interactive engagement, progressive renewals of the network. And also we are considering new district plan provisions for water conservation. However, this is currently on hold pending central government regulation updates. We can include requiring water efficient fittings in new subdivisions, rainwater tanks for properties with high impermeable cover, and on-site reuse systems for non-potable water. And in long term, we are also investigating possibilities for new supply capacity options to meet our future growth and demands.
We'll go, John.
If I can, through the chair, if I can just give a quick summary.
Sure.
I'll just mute, if you can mute. Right. Sorry, we have a little bit of echo going on for us. 13% reduction in water use, 11% reduction in peak demand. Excellent figures. Typically, other councils get 10%, some get 20%, depending on where they're starting from. So we are where we expected to be. We have seen a good reduction in water use. That unbundling work, there is already an LTP project where we are due to do the unbundling starting in the 27-28 year. Where there are minor unbundlings, we are doing those as a matter of course, but the more complicated ones are due to be done as a CAPEX project in the starting in the 27-28 year. So I know that's not going to make everybody happy, but small ones we are doing as a matter of business as usual. What is really important for us is on that long-term capacity option, this sort of reduction in water use, initial water reduction, is potentially pushing our requirement for a long-term capacity solution out by at least another 5 years. So at this point of time, in the next 10 years, we may only start doing an investigation at the end of that period, rather than having to do it in 5 years' time. That's the impact of the water demand. And it should also be noted that originally the plan for the timber water tank at the Mowai water treatment plant was for that to be replaced. And there is a project to do that starting in the 29-30 year. And by replacing that timber roof for approximately $400,000 means we've got another 10+ years out of that reservoir. So likely in the 27-37 LTP, the requirement for that reservoir will be pushed back.
Nice.
Okay. So John.
Okay, thanks very much. That's really, really good information, and appreciate the update very much. It's obviously quite topical at the moment in regard to metering and unmetered and bundling and unbundling. So I appreciate the further information. I just wanted to clarify the peak. You talked about average water consumption. So I'm presuming your average water consumption numbers that you were giving were across the full year. I'm interested in how that changes during the peak times. Are you able to just give us some background as to, you know, where those yearly averages and what we see during the high population periods?
Right. If you just bear with me here, I will have a quick look at the latest information, the last 30 days information. I've just got to find the right file. Right. It's never easy finding the file when you need it, is it? Right.
Just maybe while you're looking, Brett, I can also just add another question to the pile as well, and that is around, I understand that we've got roughly, you know, throughout the district, we've got somewhere in the order of about, or roughly 50% of properties that are still unmetered. And so it's a fairly large project to do that. So my question related to Mercury Bay is, are we better to be concentrating on properties that are not metered versus those fewer that are unbundled or need unbundling? Just interested in your comments on that, you know, because is it quite expensive to go through that unbundling process versus just straight meters?
Unbundling is a very expensive process. We have approximately over $2 million to unbundle some of the more complicated areas just in the Whitianga area. That's in the LTP. I think it's got about 2.6 million. But obviously that's slightly inflated. It's done over 4 years with inflation factors in there. So we also have on the universal metering, we have approximately 13.8 million to be spent over the 10 years. All of the unbundling in the other areas is already included in that 13.8 million. So Whitianga is one of the big areas for unbundling.
Yeah.
But that is I would suggest that is a decision more to be discussed at council level than necessarily for me to give an opinion.
Yeah. No, just interested in some data rather than opinions at the moment. Thanks.
That's all right. To give you an idea of where we are on water treatment plant volumes, basically we are abstracting, and remember this is a slightly higher figure, we lose about, I think it's about 6% through our treatment process. We are averaging about 2,500 cubes a day during off-peak periods. And as Shamal said, peak periods, we were averaging 4,300 during the 23-24 peak period, and that dropped to 3,800 during the 24-25 year. So definitely the non-resident owners increase our water requirement significantly.
Very good.
Now John did it all.
Okay.
So can I just, it's probably a bit of a loaded question, I apologise for it, but the fact that we're actually seeing a reduction on metered properties heightens the issue for the current properties that are non-metered, or and the ones that need unbundling, because they are effectively paying an average rate. And if people are now getting a 10% reduction on metered properties, then they are in fact paying less than the average, if that makes sense. Is that thinking correct?
Well, when they become metered, the service charge, which is what everybody was paying, becomes 50%, and then they pay a meter rate on volume. Whereas a property that is unmetered pays 100% of the serviced rate.
So I don't know if you really answered my, because if you're only paying 50%, and that assumes that you're using on average an average amount, and if you actually get a 10% reduction or 11% that you have mentioned, then you're using less than average and therefore paying less than those people without meters.
I would suggest there's pluses and minuses. John, on average, you're probably correct that people who are metered may well be paying less now than those who do service, but we would have to look at specific locations. What I would say to you is the average water consumption per metered or per property is 450 cubes a day, but that includes a lot of our rural properties, like in, for example, Thames Valley, who use thousands of cubes a day, but we're just talking about average there. A residential property, I'm not sure what the residential average is.
Right, so that 450 was a commercial or a rural one, was it?
No, that's on average.
Average. But
average across all
rural
properties.
And which will push the average up, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, Brett, if you're the appropriate person to ask, but along the lines of John, I'm concerned that the unmetered people are being really have that service charge really high, up to $1,100, where it's about $850. It seems like a big jump, and that's not their fault. They can't control their water. They can't control their price by altering their water consumption. So is there any way of some kind of rebate, or because some of those houses might be empty?
Through the chair, that's not a question I can answer. That question has been put to our finance department, and I believe they've given responses.
Yep, they have.
They have, but where?
Through the chair, I've got a question.
We can circulate that, Caroline.
Yeah, go ahead, Bess.
Is there a time frame, for when everyone gets meted up?
Through the chair, Whitianga, we would be probably 4 years before everybody is meted. It depends on the complexity. For example, if I said to you there's an apartment building, we may never be able to unbundle them because we can't run individual lines to each apartment within the building. But there are certain locations that might have 3 or 4 properties that are fed off one meter, and it may well be that each property will end up with a new feed and a meter. That's the sort of complexity we're talking about. Where there's someone with a property behind and the rest, we are trying to deal with those as business as usual work, and Greg is processing those on a regular basis as they come up. The more complicated ones, which is a significant cost, we've got to wait for that LTP project to come through. If you're talking about the whole district, we are talking about 10 years before we go throughout the whole district.
Yeah, Brett, thanks. I just have one more question. I may be well down the rabbit hole and we could take this offline. But if I was a builder of a new apartment, presuming I'm making sure that within the organisation we've got ourselves lined up, this new development would have to have the capacity or the ability to have individual water meters? So we're catching that?
Yes, they would need to run individual lines out to the boundary for each of the apartments. Now, that is a significant cost to the developer to do that. At the moment, they run one line to the building, and then within the building, they split to each apartment.
So we're capturing that within our consenting process to ensure that that's happening
in the future.
Through the chair, we don't have the ability to force a developer to do that. That's a developer's decision.
So my question to you is, if there is further development, these developments could potentially carry on having this issue where they're unbundled and they will always feel that their charging is unfair. So we're not looking within the organisation to see if we can
create a policy.
Get the policy in place to make sure that this doesn't become an ongoing issue. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Completely on track.
I'm right there with you, sis.
Thank you, Rika.
Because otherwise it's just going to keep going.
Yes.
Kia ora. It would be unfair on the apartments.
Okay,
I think we're well down the rabbit hole, but that's probably something we need to.
If we get
through the chair, that would need to go to building regulations and planning, and also development engineering, rather than ourselves. We will put in the connection, but we won't specify what are the requirements.
This wider organisational question. Thank you very much, though, for your time. The chair's so stop.
We need to sort them.
Any further questions for Brett? Okay, thank you, Brett.
We should probably stay online for this one as well. So Glenn has just come to give us a bit of an update on one of our perennial favourites, the Cook's Beach Lake Management.
Good.
Through the chair. So specifically, just to give an update on the application to release grass carp. As you know, over the past few months, earlier in the year, we had engaged a consultant to assist with an application to the Department of Conservation. Taken a bit of time to work through that application. But it was submitted to the Department of Conservation on Wednesday, the 27th of August. At the same time, copies of the application were sent to key parties, MPI, Auckland and Waikato Fish and Game Council, and Ngāti Hei. We have been assigned a permission number for the application and currently waiting to be assigned an advisor. Now, according to the DOC website, it's going to take about 4 months estimate processing time. So we will be looking to have to manage that again over the summer without the grass carp in the lakes. Our consultant, Steve Pullen, has advised that we should actually expect it will be after the new year. So we're looking sort of end of January, February before we're actually likely to see anything in the lakes, just because of the processing times. Public notification will be entered into the regional newspaper, I believe the New Zealand Herald. We would possibly, or 2 Saturdays we're looking at in September, and there's a 20-day consultation period. The last I heard was maybe the 6th of September and the 13th, so we should expect to see advertisements in there. So we may get some queries about that coming into council, into our customer services and so forth.
So will we, alongside that, through the chair, have an education program going out, some information, because we're just going to have the knee-jerk reaction where people think they're koi carp, and we've already wasted so much time on this issue. We could have had this application in over a year or 2 years ago. The public won't be educated to understand what the hell's going to happen. So that gives me cause for concern.
I understand that there will be some information going onto our website, but Brett may have to answer as to what whether we have actually anything planned for public further information. Brett, do you know?
Through the chair, I would just like to endorse the comments that Gabby's made and how important it is for us to get on the front foot on communication. It'll save a heck of a lot of time later on down the track if we can just explain the details and the difference between carp and grass, and do that as soon as we can. And I think, you know, as part of that, also explain about the general management that we will do of the lakes leading up to the introduction of the fish.
Brett has a comment.
Yeah, Brett.
Through the chair, yes, we do intend to put out comms. The first advert will go out on the 6th. So we are looking at having something on a web page later this week or early next week to interact around that same time as the notification. It would be a follow-up ad on the 13th. Trying to make this process as expedient as possible. I have been in touch with Rick Kelly, who is the regional lead for DOC. He is already looking at assigning one of his people, local people, to be working on this. And he has indicated, and I've invited him to come to the hui with Ngāti Hei on the 12th of September, so that he can put forward his support for what we're doing and answer any questions from Ngāti Hei as well.
Really? I was just going to ask you, the chair, is it likely that DOC is going to approve this and not Sunday? Does it look like it's going to be approved? Do you have any clue about that? Did you say
through the chair, if I could answer that? Talking with Rick, there is no major obstacles from DOC to doing this.
Thank you. That's a relief.
Good answer.
Yeah. Through the chair, just to some current actions that we're underway with to manage the aquatic plant growth in the meantime. We'll be engaging some contractors to most likely do some spraying on the lakes or gel application to manage the growth over that summer period again. And we also have a contractor coming to look at and size up, price some screens, grills to containment devices on some of the outlet pipes and the overflow spillway at the western end of the lake. So that needs to be in place before we can actually any grass carp release can be approved. So yeah, so just need to formalise that, get some pricing and make sure all that can be in time.
Through the chair, is it comparable price-wise to mow it like you did previously compared to spraying? I mean, I guess that's the determinant, is it, the pricing?
Through the chair, to be honest, the spray contractors that we had previously used was less cost. The issue that we currently have is, or that we have been shown with, is locally based contractors able to do that scale of job, and that's where the price comes in, is getting people from out of the area to get into that we have utilised in the past. Contractor that was also working for for Waikato Regional Council, but it's also depends on their workload and how they can fit that in whilst they're in the same area. So
you're saying they're the mowing people?
Sorry, no, the spraying, the mowing, the harvesting that we have done. The intention was to get a bulk amount of vegetation out of the lake as soon as possible, and that worked for a short period. Obviously, the challenges there were, the issues that arose out of that was we had a very dry summer, so the lake level was very, very low. I think if we'd had higher lake levels over that period, we would have had a different outcome. But maybe that was something that needed to then be addressed again. So we look potentially at another contractor if there's another contractor that has the same harvesting process. Up at that point, there was nobody suitable with suitable equipment to work in that lake access and so forth.
Very good.
Any further questions?
Just if anyone has any questions for me over any of the other items in the monitoring summary, if there's any other questions, which Daly has. Rick, sorry.
No, I'm just looking at what I had, and that was water, and we've done that. Lakes, Taputapuatia Cultural Values Assessment. We talk about completion by 30th June 25.
Yes, and it's overdue. And I did.
I'm not June.
No, it is overdue, and I asked for some feedback on that, and I haven't been provided with that information yet, so I can follow that up again.
Yeah, if you could chase that up, that would be great. And the roading update around, this is sort of jumping back to the action schedule. The maintenance schedule for Tapu Correspondence. Can someone, I know we council shared on Facebook, post the rally that there was going to be some maintenance work done.
I don't know about.
Can you?
Yeah, great. Because I went over to Tapu, we rally drive the other day, and
after the rally,
and caught up with Mr. Ventia truck, and then I caught up with Mr. Ventia roller, and they were working. Yeah. But it's not that bad.
But the overall comment around the quality of the, I don't want to pull the numbers out because I know I'll get the wrong side medal that she was the lady that spoke to us was referring to.
There's some big gap 50 or whatever it is, some chunky stuff over there.
Yeah. So, but that's what they're putting back on?
Don't know, they hadn't put the metal down.
Right, of course, yes.
It's slippery in a few places, there's a few puddles, but it's not intraversible.
Right, is it better than the photos?
Sorry?
Is it better than the photos shown?
It's just the typicoric glen, you know, it's.
Yeah, it's just the surface was quite.
Yeah, but it's
lovely,
slippery,
yeah.
Just not a huge distance that you've got to slow down to about 20 or 30k. Because you're going to fishtail a bit, but.
It's just, she was quite concerned about the safety.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding Wharikaho water and wastewater extension projects, and that there is an awful lot of misinformation being bandied about at public meetings about council doing nothing about water and wastewater, alongside information saying that council's ignoring putting a footpath in, which we can't put in, because it's Wakakatahi and we can't put in without being a party to that. But are we communicating really well with the Ratepayers Association out there about why because they were told that they were going to get consultation documents, because some are concerned, obviously, that it is going to cost them, like it cost everyone in Whitianga when we all had to pay for sewer connections because we didn't have sewer. Yeah, Brett, can you talk to the whole Wharikaho debacle, please?
Through the chair, this also applies for Hahei as well.
Yeah.
With the water and wastewater projects. So there's 3 projects in total: Hahei water, Hahei wastewater, and Wharikaho water and wastewater. We have been delayed in trying to determine the options for residents to pay for these projects. There is an infrastructure cost, and then there are potentially DCs as well to be paid. We have only had a meeting this week that has clarified that from the our legal counsel, confirming what is possible through the Local Government Act, and we are starting to prepare draft documents, and it has been indicated we need to pass those back through the legal group and also through the TCDC leadership team before we issue them to the ratepayers for a review of the draft and then going to residents. We apologise for the delay, but it has taken some time to get a definitive answer on how or what are the options for residents to contribute to this scheme. It has not been through ourselves, but rather the procedural steps we need to go through.
Yeah, cool.
I gave some updates to the Ratepayers Association. That advice is still valid, so I have not updated it with them. We are still waiting. We were still waiting for that information till earlier this week when we had the feedback. And Shamal has developed the draft documents, which I intend to review, and then we will submit them through the internal review process.
So, yeah, thanks, Brett. That's awesome, and really appreciating the mahi that you're doing. So again, I bang on about our comms and how even a paragraph in the paper or, you know, a line on the radio saying Wharikaho hasn't been forgotten. We have to go through very robust legal senior leadership team processes to make sure we get this right so that it isn't a major burden on all of the ratepayers. So maybe that's something about, you know, a mini update. It's the same with, you know, we heard about Cemetery Road this morning, that the interested groups, even if there's nothing to update, like to have an update, just to say, hey, look, we haven't forgotten about you. This is where the process is at. So, yeah, if I don't know whose responsibility that is, but it's quite important just to keep engaged with the stakeholders.
Through the chair, I will take that on.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Brett. Yeah, cheers.
Any further questions for Pippa or Brett? No?
All good.
Okay. Thank you, Brett, and thank you, Heather. So all those in favour to receive the action schedule, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, Mitch. Motion carried.
Are we squeezing Tanya in?
And she's up from her mouth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
So
Yeah, no, good on you.
correspondence report, can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'll move.
Delhi. Yes. Are there any questions for staff?
I have
John?
incoming correspondence. Heather, can I just check whether you got a request from the Mercury Bay Artscape for consideration of funding for the board?
Not from the Artscape. I've just had one come in. I've had nothing before when this is done, which is a little while ago. I've just had one recently from the Business Association, I wanted to say, for flags. And I haven't actually caught up with that yet.
I think there was also one sent to you from the Artscape as well, so.
Yeah, okay. Unless it's not just the spam, which could potentially.
Yeah.
So it was a request for funding?
Yes, it was.
Funding for what exactly, sorry?
The Mercury Bay Artscape.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just follow that.
I'll follow that up, obviously. Yep.
I think the person is Mrs. Grant.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Robinson Road.
Okay. Apologies if I've missed it, but it's not ringing any bells, so I'll go back through and see if I can find it.
Bess?
I don't know whether this is the right, anyway, but this just came through to bring to the board, so I'm going to read out Heather. This is from Mavis Lessiter. There are an increasing number of older and people with limited mobility in Whitianga. There seems to be a lack of action by the council to make sure that planning in the town surrounding area is safe and inclusive when decisions are made. Toilets that allow access, public and business for those with limited mobility and access to the beaches. Parking on pavements and cars parking on the roads at corners, blocking the view of passing traffic. There is no planning for recreation areas to suit this demographic. What happened to the planning to include a suitable all-weather swimming pool at the sports park? Several planning meetings by all sporting groups resulted in this being included in the design. Still waiting. The Positive Aging Initiative covered all this under recreational access. I understand that this has been abandoned. Can council supply a plan of action that is covering these areas? Thank you, Mavis Lessiter. Yeah, I gave it.
Thank you, Bess. Obviously, there's a lot in there that
Yes.
needs to be understood and considered. Are you able to just forward that through to me, and then I can we can table that for today, can't we, Esther? And then
I'll table it in a minute.
we can read it through and
Kia ora.
back with the response from Mavis.
Yes.
Any further questions about correspondence? Okay, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carried. Chairperson's report, can we have a mover and a seconder, please? Okay, a mover and a seconder.
Which report?
The chairperson's report.
But there is, yeah, there is.
There is one.
I was looking for an,
Sorry. I'll move.
Sorry, I was
Okay,
confused.
so we've got John and Rika. Any questions?
I have one question, and that is really around, this is probably for Heather. Consultation on State Highway 25A. Will the
We're talking about Not working out.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favour to receive the report say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, the meeting for our last term is done at 10:24. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So I see the lovely